What's everyone's Matt Rosick. This will be the second work in progress on Azog, and we're going to work on his skin. So I've got a bunch of references I'm using to decide what I want to do, and I found a really nice build on this from another painter. I have a link on Facebook. So I think what we can do first is, because his skin is basically kind of pasty white, but I just don't want to do pasty white. I want to get like a flesh tone underneath first, I think. So we're just going to play around here and see what kind of effects we get. So I'm going to put down a base coat of GarageKits.us Bronze Flesh. And this is kind of a, I don't know, it's kind of like a pale flesh, I don't know. But we're going to put this down. I won't record this whole process because this could take a little while with this being such a big piece. And I think I'm just going to kind of not worry about covering the whole thing. Get some modeling going on. So we'll use some different tones here. This thing is just so freaking heavy. It's a solid cassette piece, so it's very heavy. There's really no good way to handle it. So this is bronze flesh. We'll let some of the primer show through. So I want to kind of get a fleshy undertone to this. We can get some, hopefully some tone, skin variations in the skin. There's that. Initially, when I first started this video, I was going to do this solid, but I think this may be giving me a better result if I kind of don't do a solid. Okay, so this is the bronze flesh. That. I need to hit this with some primer. It's got some spilt paint on it from something. So I'm going to do that real quick. I'll be right back. Okay, so I did that with the bronze flesh. Let's add let's try a little pale flesh too. This is pale flesh. It's actually a little darker than the bronze flesh. And I'm gonna kind of come in here and do little squiggles. Again, this isn't to be pretty, this is just all underlying. Skin tones. Again, I'm making this up as I go, so this is no formula. This is just how I usually do stuff. I've never done this technique or this skin color before, so I'm just kind of making it up. Already, this is starting to get some cool effects. Hopefully that showing up on camera. Hand. And then the legs. You do something like this, you want to make sure you do a lot of overlapping, because you don't want the look of, in the end you just want modeling, you don't want to see different lines of paint. So it's important to go back through, and it's like when I do the hulks, to go through and overlap everything. So that what you're achieving is just a modulation in color, different tonal variations. And they come in with some light African flesh too. And then maybe some pink. And then on top of that, we'll start adding in some of the white. I was gonna make sure I get underneath the armpits. I kind of forget that area sometimes. It's easy to miss. Love Jesse's paints, man, but they clog my airbrush so bad. It's so hard to clean them out of my airbrush. I don't know what I've tried his cleaner, tried alcohol, tried water, and they just clog my brush. My only gripe about them, and the caps. Okay. So then I maybe put these two together, make sure we're kind of consistent looking. And I think we're looking pretty good. The legs may be have a little more, so we're gonna hit the torso again. Rather be a little dark so I can build up the highlights and stuff. Notice I haven't gone and done any shading yet on the muscles. I may do that with just pastels or oils. Seems to be working pretty good for me lately. All right, so we're gonna put, that looks pretty good. Ugh, magnets are strong. Let's put this color aside. Let's go one step a little bit darker. Light African flesh. I wish there was a semi-transparent light African flesh. That's kind of my go-to Caucasian skin tone for like base color for Jesse's paints is the light African flesh. I wish he had a semi-transparent version of it. Is that one empty? Do I have any more of this? Medium, light. Okay, I got another bottle of it. This is like one shade darker than the pale flesh we did. And just clog my airbrush. I tend to keep on my airbrushes, I just tend to keep the back off, so if it clogs I can pull the needle out real quick and try to unclog it, which tends to happen a lot with Jesse's paints for some reason. I don't thin them. Maybe that's my problem. My brush probably should thin them a little bit. But it's more like I get like a piece of junk or a big bit of paint in there. Okay. There's the ball in there. I really need to get one of those, it's a Vortex paint shaker. Basically, it's someone who's taken not old, but they've taken like lab equipment shakers and they've modified them slightly to be paint shakers and you just push it on there and it shakes the paint. It's getting a little darker than I wanted, so I may go back in with the first color, bronze flesh, and lighten this up a little bit, but kind of getting the effect I want. I like my pink and yellow towel. That's one of my kids' old baby towels from when they were babies. Kind of confiscated it. So if I get closer to the piece, I get more pronounced like lines. I'm backed off a little bit. I got a few of those on the legs that I'm not real happy about, but I'll blend them in later. And I got the veins on here too. I'm wondering, depending on what point in the process they do the veins. They're kind of bluish. Okay, it's looking pretty good. The skin will take me the better part of the day to get this done, I think. Especially since I've never done it before. Okay. Let's see how those are looking together. Yeah, looking pretty good. Okay. Oops. All right, sorry, I lost my mic. All right, so I think what I'm going to do now, I wonder if I should go in there and do any noodling with like some, I don't know. Why don't you do a pink and then brighten it up, like bright flesh, to get more of a fleshy look to it. Let's do that. So I'm going with some bright flesh. I'm going to go in tight. And do some noodling, but this will be tighter. We're cranking. Okay, so this is GarageKits.us bright flesh. I probably won't record this whole process because this goes real slow. So I've got my airbrush locked in. And I'm going to come in here and do this. Just like on the Hulks. Bunch of 8s. Squiggly lines. Just a little bit. So if you have your airbrush backed off more, you got to move quicker. Hopefully this will give me a fleshy kind of undertone to all the kind of whites I'm going to put on top of this. I'm going to use like bone whites and stuff. So that's what I'm going for, this kind of look right there. I always say I'm not going to record it, and I end up recording it. Kind of hard to see this color on top of these, but it does give a little bit of pinkness to it. And I'm plugged up again, of course. I think we're getting dry tip. See what's happening. All right, it's looking pretty good. Okay. Yeah, looking like something. Not sure what exactly yet, but something. I always forget I have a hand over here I gotta do. Okay. Excuse me. I think what I may do, I think I may try to go in and do these veins right now, so they're really underneath the skin. So they're kind of bluish. I don't know if I have a blue. I do have a blue for actually, I'm gonna hold off on that. Then we'll get the skins more established, and then I'll put them in. But some blue veins might be nice. So let's do some blue veining. So for that, I am going to use Vallejo blue, and I'll thin it with some Mr. Color thinner. Ooh, maybe some, I don't know. This one I'm just playing. I got midnight blue, maybe too dark. This might be a good color here, heavy blue. And I need to get some, 1 second. All All right, so I'm going to use some Vallejo Heavy Blue, and I thin it with Mr. Color Thinner. You can thin this with Mr. Color Thinner. It's an acrylic. It's like an acrylic hybrid. And it sprays way better than if you thin it with something else. And this one I probably will be more tight and definite with my noodling. Just testing it over here. Seems to be working pretty good. Let me thin it down just a little bit more. I don't have this when I thin Vallejo with Mr. Color Thinner. It's a little. I'm not as used to using it as much as I am with Mr. Color Thinner, so it takes me a little while to kind of get it thin the way I want. So this is a pretty high ratio of thinner to paint, probably at least 2 to 1. 2 parts thinner to 1 part paint, if not a little bit more. Got way more than I need, but I'd rather do that than have to thin run out later in the middle. I'm going to see if I can do this without. Okay, so I got this dialed in now, and we're going to test it out real quick, just kind of on this part where we don't see it with the just like when I do hulks, when I get in the shadows, I'll go a little heavier. Kind of figure eights, squigglies. The closer I get, the tighter the line. Hopefully this will give the illusion of vessels underneath the skin. So when I first started on the old tester, I think I'm a little too tight. That's why I tested it there. Kind of this look right here. Yeah, like right there in the knee, that's perfect. So if you go a little too much with one color, you just come back with the other, with another color to kind of blend it in. So I find that maybe I was a little too tight to begin with, so let me go back in the top there, and even though you'll see it because it's underneath the leather skirts, let me go in there and just tighten that up a little bit. It's too tight. It wasn't giving me the effect I wanted. Same thing back here on this leg of me. Go back and blend that in a little bit with the other colors I used. And well, since I got this blue, again, I go back and forth all the time as I'm working there. I think I will go hit those veins on the chest. Yeah, it's looking good. Nice and kind of bruised look to the end of the skin. Well, you're seeing there, but that's like right in this area is perfect. Where I got too tight, where I got tight, I'm not happy with. So I'm gonna go back and blend it in. But like right here and right here, man, that's perfect. Look at that. It looks like veining underneath the skin. So I got a little kind of like a little too much right there. That's okay. That's gonna be a highlight. So that's okay. I'm not gonna worry about that. I'll blend it in with the. But you can see all the way down to the primer still. We're still seeing those pinks and the flesh tones I put in there. So that's giving me the look I want. Just do that on him, the top part. Again, remember to kind of stay backed off so I don't get real tight lines, which I didn't like. The more random you do this, the more natural it looks. May come in and do a little red too. Ours may come back with the bright flesh again. But red would probably make more sense maybe. I'm not sure what color is Orc's blood. Is it blue or is it red? Open them airbrush just a hair more. Poop. Got a fingerprint there. Not sure if it'll come off. They're using Mr. Color Thinner instead of water. Let's see. Let's see if we can blend it in. This will be a long video. I say that a lot. So like right here, I get kind of the line's a little too obvious. I'm gonna go in there and kind of try to blend that back in a little bit. Don't really just get too close. If you stay in one spot too long, then you definitely get a kind of a hard spot. Let's see, I'm out of paint. Nope, I got plenty of paint. Got way more than I need mixed up. I also may do some shading in the shadows with this blue to kind of start establishing that just real light. I don't know. We'll decide here in a second. So all the whites I'll be using, or the majority of this should be semi-transparent, so I should be able to see this underneath it, I hope. Dang it, I got some blue paint on one of my hands somewhere. I keep getting, fingerprints. To blend it in. Okay, it's looking pretty good. All right, pretty happy with that. That's looking really nice. Okay, I'm gonna take a break. I'm gonna go back and try to blend this in a little bit. I'll come back. Okay, so I just went over those areas with a couple of those other colors. It's not perfect, but it just kind of tones that down a little bit. So now since I have this blue mixed up, I think I am gonna go in here and try to do these veins a little bit. So I got my airbrush dialed in pretty tight. And I usually do this with pastels, but we're gonna try this with an airbrush. Let's see. And this is something I'm still learning to do, is really airbrushing real tight like this. There's some guys that can freaking draw with an airbrush. I am not one of them. So it's going to be pretty jarring at first, but this will all get buried. into the skin tones. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to do the ones that are sculpted in first, and then I'm going to add a few like in the chest and stuff. Some of these are very soft, kind of hard to see. Oops, hold on, I'm tangled up here. Easy if you can, much easier if you can use two hands to steady your airbrush. There's nothing sculpted here. I'm going to just bring that vein down a little bit. Same with this one. Just kind of make it up. Like that. Not a lot of veining sculpted on this guy. Very small ones under here in the neck. Zoomed in, so I'm not sure if I'm in the frame. There's actually one right here in the back of his head. If I can hit it. Excuse me. Okay, I don't think there's any veins sculpted on the legs. There aren't. In the hands. Nope. I made that one a little too dark. That's okay. Oh, on the top of the head here, the forehead. Yeah, this happens to intersect a little squiggly line it in, which is perfect. Okay. I think that's it for a few little very light ones right here. And there, and sometimes it's really hard to see sometimes the sculpted veins because sometimes they're very subtle. gonna add one here, I think. I'm gonna add one here too. Oh, I think my phone's almost dead. I don't have it plugged in. Am I still recording? Okay, yeah, I'm still recording. Okay, my phone was unplugged, so I thought I was gonna die. Okay, that's looking pretty good. I'm gonna take a pause. I'm gonna look at my reference because the reference I had some on his chest. I'm gonna come back and look at those. Let's see if I have it open here in 1 second. Nope, I have to come back. 1 second. Okay, so I went back and looked at some references and added some more veins. It's a little jarring right now, but don't worry, it's all gonna kind of get buried. Add some on the back. There's a little more on the arms and stuff. So I didn't do anything on the legs. I didn't see anything on the references veining on the legs, and there's nothing sculpted in. So I'm not gonna deal with that. There's nothing on the hand, veining wise, so we're done with that. So now I think we're ready to start laying in my actual skin tones. So this is all just the groundwork for the skin tones. So I need to clean out my airbrush. And I think I'm going to start out with, I don't want it too bright, but since I've got all these warm tones underneath here, the whites should let everything shine through for the most part. So I'm contemplating going and adding some shadows in first. So my initial thought is to use bone white and natural bone kind of as, I also have natural bone, bone white, and then I've got some semi-transparent whites. I don't want to do grayscale for sure. Hold on. Semi-transparent bone white. Semi-transparent pure white. So, thinking bone white may be good for kind of like a shadow. Let me put a little bit of this on my brush. It's got a little bit of yellow in it. I'm gonna test it real quick. And I just found out from my client he does not want him like all bloody and stuff. So I'm glad he said something because I was planning on doing that. Let's see. I think I want to do this, but I want to thin it down. So it's a little. This is too opaque. So I'm going to take some of this, and I've got some of Jesse's thinner, and I'm going to put a little retarder in it. I'm going to mix this up. Should do it with a stick. Okay, so I got some bone white in here, or natural bone, sorry, natural bone, some thinner, and some retarder. And we're gonna go in and we're gonna This doesn't seem like a shadow color, but again, this guy's pretty bright. Put this on real light because I don't want to cover up all the work I did. Camera. Right back. Someone's at my door. I'll be right back. All right, so I'm going to go and lightly add this to the kind of shadow areas. Be real light with it. It's actually kind of hard to see. Probably have a better luck doing the shadows with pastels on this guy. I'm going to do a little bit of this now. Got a really bad leak on this airbrush coupling. Quite annoying, actually. There's a lot of air. I think what I want to do is I'm just gonna do a little bit of this. I think I'm gonna mist over semi-transparent white on top of this because I don't want to lose all this noodling and stuff I did. I'm afraid that this color may be a little too opaque. And I'm not getting the effect I want. So let's scrap that idea. I think what I want to do, and sometimes this takes me a few tries to get it, I've got some semi-transparent bone white. I'm actually going to thin it down a little bit. Oh, it's harder. A little thinner. Mix that up a little bit. And I think we're going to do, kind of get what I did earlier with the other colors. So I'm just going to kind of mist this on. I think this is going to get me to where I want. We're going to do this first, and then we're going to come in with some semi-transparent pure white. So this will dry down a little bit. Yeah, now we're kind of getting what I want. A little bit of time. We're gonna do the legs next. We'll go over the hand. And I'll just do the shading with pastels. Adding shadows. I'm really doing this in my air booth because I'm going to get a lot of overspray on stuff around here. I think I'm going to go do that because there's going to be a lot of misting. I think you get the idea. So I'm going to go do this. Get this blended to where I want. And then I'm going to come back. Okay, so it looks like after we did the semi-transparent bone white, not sure if it's showing up in camera, but blended that all in, looks really good. You can still, it's very subtle. You see all the like little pinks and the browns we put in earlier. But it's there, it's very subtle, so it's very natural looking. The veins blended in really nice underneath the skin. So I think I may go, I'm gonna let this dry for a little bit because this will dry down a little bit, it'll get a little darker. I think I may hit it very, very lightly, super light with a little bit of the semi-transparent pure white. And then I'm gonna seal it and I'm gonna go in and start doing the shadows. And I'm contemplating whether I do oils or if I do pastels. My initial thought is to do pastels, but we'll see. Again, I kind of always wing it, but this is looking really good. So we got kind of a nice fleshy undertone white skin. So this is looking really good. So I'm happy with this. So yeah, I'm gonna let this dry for maybe 20 minutes, and then we're gonna, again, I'm gonna hit it real super light with the transparent pure white, and that should get me up right to my brightest spots. And then I'm gonna go in, and when I do the shading, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna turn off because the sculpt is kind of with this color. It's really hard to see all the different shadows. So I'm gonna only light from one side, and you can see it's casting shadows, and all the and my light is casting shadows in the shadow. So that makes sense. It's making the sculpt easier to see because it's a lot. Nair sculpts a lot of subtle details in there. And with everything lit from all around, it fills in all those shapes so you can't see it. So, you know, if I turn, I can see a shadow here, I can see a shadow there. If I turn a little bit, I can see all the shadows in the knees and so forth. So that's what we're going to do. I'm going to basically light from one side, a harsh light from one side, and then it allows me to rotate the sculpt around and see all the areas that I need to add shadows to. So I'm not going to do airbrush. I'm going to go with a brush. It's going to take a very long time because there's a lot of detail. And then once that's done, we'll seal real good. I'll do the little kind of pink indentations. He's got some like little moles here we're going to bring out with maybe some oils. A lot of great details. The veining looks really good. It's nice and like underneath the skin, so it's not jarring out and popping at you. It looks very natural. So I'm glad I did those at that point, because now I can bury them. So I'm gonna let this dry and hit real light with a semi-transparent bright white. We're gonna seal it really good, and then we'll go in and do the shading with adding the shadows. All right, so I hit that with a little bit of that transparent bright white. I seal it really good, let it dry for about half an hour, and I'm going in with pan pastel raw umber and adding the shadows to the shadows. So I'm going to do this for a while, and I basically take a little bit on this brush and I kind of dab it in, and I take a soft brush and blend it out. So we'll do this, and then we'll see if I need to, depending on how dark this gets, I may go back and add some additional kind of highlight. We'll see. I think this is gonna get me pretty close to where I want to be. So I'm just gonna do this until I get the look I want. Just dab it in and then kind of blend it out. And if I want kind of a softer look, I just don't add any, I just don't put it back in there. I just take what's left on the brush and just kind of do this, because there's always some on there. Then you get a softer, less dramatic look. Just like that. So again, I got just the two lights coming from my left, and I'm turning this in the light. So I can see all the different shapes and shadows in the sculpt. So this will darken the piece down overall. So he's a little bright right now. But I'm liking all the work I did prior, because you can still see the pinks and everything underneath. All that work, so I'm pretty happy with it. Like this leg's looking pretty good so far. Got a little too much up here. Let's see. Try to dampen my brush and take some of it off. I think that gets. Let's see what gets covered up there. That's this guy. Yeah, so I'll get covered up. Let's see how much you're actually going to see. Is that the right side? I think you got to put on the sides and then the back. There's a certain order you got to put these on. Yeah, there we go. That goes on. Then this side goes on. Actually, do that. Then the front and the back. So you can kind of see what we're going to see. Alrighty, cool. So I'm going to work on this, and then I'll come back. So it's going to be a couple hours of doing this before I get to a good spot. Okay, so here we are. I think this looks really, really good. Sprayed this a couple hours ago with Sealer, let it dry down. Want to see if the colors change at all, and I am super happy with this. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do these red spots, these like kind of scars on his skin, and then that'll be the last step for the next. I'm going to do those oils, and I have to let those dry at least overnight before I can do anything else, because you can't seal them right away. So I'm going to get some oil out. And I want to do oils because I can do it really thin and blend it. So I'm going to kind of mix up my own kind of reddish color here. Some pink and red, I think. 1 second. As usual, I'm not prepared. So I'm gonna see about mixing up a color here. I've got, again, my Abtolong 502 oils. This is modeling, this is Primer Red is the name of this color. And the color in the tube is not nearly as what's in, it's like this color right here is not actually what you get. This is what you get. So I put this on cardboard. I'm actually gonna put quite a bit out. And then I'm going to get some of this pink out, which is more kind of, it's actually more magenta. And I'm going to get out, I'd like to get a bigger selection of oils, to be honest. I want to get some flesh tones. So I want to start trying to do flesh tones with oils. Seen some really good results with that. What is this? This is dead flesh. Ooh, let's see what dead flesh looks like. It's kind of got a little green in it. So I want to probably want to lighten this up a little bit. Sorry about all the noise in the background. So let's get a soft brush. I'm going to mix these two resins together first and see what I come up with. Kind of a pink from the reference I see. So it's got some of this dead flesh. That's about where it should be. Right there, right in that tone. So that dead flesh, I thought about using white, but I saw that dead flesh, which I've never used, which is good because it'll kind of go with the skin tone we got going on. So I'm going to mix some more of this up. So what we're going to do is I'm going to mix this. I'm going to let this sit in the cardboard for a little bit to pull some of the oils out. I should have done. I should have had a palette ready to go. And mineral spirits. I have to mix some more of this up. That's not going to be enough. Okay. Yeah, so I'm going to get some more of that going. Hey, keep it down, please. It's so noisy. My house is constantly noisy. It's really kind of annoying. Actually, what I should have done. That's what I should have done. Ideally, you mix it, and then, again, I'm doing things backwards as usual. What I should have done is I should have put my colors out here, let them sit for a little bit to draw the oils out, and then transferred those to the transfer those to my palette, and then work from there. Okay, so I've been kind of playing with colors here. So I was wanting a little more vibrant red. So I found that I had this. What is this? This is called coagulated blood. So I put a lot of that over here, and I'm just adding this kind of pink mixture that I did before to it until I get the color I wanted. Because this is a little too pale, I think. I want something a little more vibrant. So I'm gonna just deepen the red a little bit. And I think I'm going to go with this color right here. So this is a little bit of the magenta, this pink color, a little bit of the primer red, a little bit of the dead flesh. There's a tad of white, just a little bit of white in there. And then I went with the coagulated blood. So this is what I think we're going to work with here. Just like that. So now I need to get a clean brush. Because I tend to like to work these kind of dry. So I'm going to clean my brush off here and get a different brush. The nice thing about these is they clean up so easily. If I do something I don't like, it's really easy to clean up something. Okay, so I'm going to put my glove on. And I'm going to start on the leg and use that as an experiment. So let me put this to the side. Grab the legs. Because this only has like 2 of these veiny things going on here. And let's see. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a small, little flat brush, I think. I wish I had a little chisel brush. I really love a chisel brush. What's this little guy here? This is perfect. Like a little flat chisel brush. And get myself a paper towel here. And I just take the smallest amount. I don't need a lot. And I'm going to go in here and start to dab this in there. So first step is kind of get it down in the crevice. And then so I got a Q-tip here. Where's that little thing? My mineral spirits here, so if I don't like something I can dab this. You just need a little bit. Take most of it off, and I got a little excess here. Just go in there and wipe it off, and it doesn't affect the sealer at all. I'll just do one of these on camera and then the rest off frame. So we go in there, kind of draw it in first, and now I'm going to kind of take off the excess. I'm just going to work up to the edge here, soften it up. And these blend so perfectly. Really am liking oils. It's a little slower process, but the results are really, really nice. And that's kind of it. And I'll look up, and what I can do is like I'll go back and look at the reference. I think maybe there's a little bit of pinkness around the skin here, and I may go back and hit the very after this dries. Just at the very center of these areas to give a little shading. That's kind of it. So that's a good tone right there. It's not too red, it's not too pink. I think it looks good. Let's do the other one on the leg. Again, it doesn't take a whole lot of this oil paint to do this. So we really need to let the oils dry like 24 hours. So what I'll do tomorrow as well as drying, I'll work on painting the leather kind of skirts that go around his waist, and like his weapon. Actually, I don't have to be so careful with this. I can be a little messy with it because I can just go clean it up. And just come in here and clean it up. Kind of like doing a reverse wash technique that I do when I was doing Gundams, where I would do our panel lining, where you go and you fill in the panel lining, clean it up a little bit with some thinner. Same kind of principle. So there you go. Looks pretty good. So I'll do the torso. That'll take a little while, but it's not that hard of a process. There's just a lot more of it on his torso. Hopefully I got enough of this paint mixed up. I should, because it doesn't take a whole lot. I need to put this somewhere safe. Give me 1 second. Here we go. I thought that would happen. So I had some oil on my fingers, and I got a big old fingerprint on him, but no big deal. It's oil. Comes right off. A Dazzle lacquer or an acrylic, it would have been harder to take off. But since it's not, it's pretty easy. Yeah, the hard part is keeping your hands clean from oils or your work surface, so you don't get them everywhere. So this has got a lot. And then when this is done, I'll go in and I'll add some pinkness around the ears where it's got it bitten off and stuff. So hopefully I have enough of this mixed up because it's like the perfect color. Again, it doesn't take a lot, so. Kind of like, so on this one I just kind of dabbed it in there. And I got a little on the outside edge. I kind of like that. And then I'll just go, maybe if I soften up with a dry Q-tip. Like that. Then you get this kind of nice, I don't know, it looks, the skin around it looks a little disturbed or wounded. Let me go with that. Do that and then take a dry Q-tip. Not with the mineral spirits, but the dry Q-tip will just help blend it a little bit. Yeah, I like that. So I'll go back on the legs and do this. It's very subtle, but there's just a very little slight tint of this paint coming over the edge, and it gives it a nice transition, soft transition, and it really looks like he's been wounded or his skin is kind of torn open there. Too much there on my brush. Oops. Nope, I used the wrong end. They had mineral spirits on it. So I gotta clean this up. Maybe a clean one. I thought I was using a dry Q-tip, and I was not. I was using one with mineral spirits. So I think you get the idea. So we're gonna go through this. I'll do this on all of it, and we'll come back and look at it when it's done. All right, so after some time, I got the back done. It looks really freaking good. So pink is looking really pink in this video. On my back of my phone, it's not that pink. It's more blood red, but looks really phenomenal. I'm gonna go back and do the same thing on the legs where I soften this edge, just so it's not such a stark transition, and it'll look more natural too. But yeah, really happy with the way this is looking. So I'm going to do the whole rest of it, and we'll come back and look at it when it's all done. All right, so it took a few hours, but we got all that done, and I think it looks really, really good. So I got to let this dry. I think I said about 24 hours, but I think the effect is pretty nice. Come in here on the face a little closer. Yeah, looks good. So super happy with that. I went with a little darker red on the face, just a hair darker, not much. And then so I see a little spot here. So I'll go through and just clean this up while it's up here, because I was handling it while I was doing all those other areas. Just make sure I didn't get any fingerprints on some of those other areas, but it looks really, really good. So I'm gonna just continue to clean this up tonight, and then I'll be able to seal it tomorrow night. Excuse me. And then I'll move on to, then his skin is pretty much done. I got to darken the nipples a little bit. I'm gonna wait on that. Got a paint in the eyes. I gotta look at the lips to see what they did. I had added some shadow there when I did the shading, so I added some shadow. I gotta see if I gotta change the color or not, and paint the eyes in. And I may go in with some very, very light oil. If I do really light with and use some mineral spirits, like this is pretty much straight oil. There's no mineral spirits, so I gotta really let that dry. So it's gonna take it a little while. But if I go in with some mineral spirits, I can get it to dry up after a couple hours. I may go in and hit some of the wrinkles real light with some oil, some kind of like an oil wash on the face, because I think that might bring out some of those details. But he's looking really sharp. Super happy with how he's looking so far. So we're gonna call this work in progress done. And I may go in tonight, or I'm not sure if I'm gonna do it, because I need to kind of make this a little pink right here. This area kind of pinkish and this pinkish, but I may do a different tone. I may do that with pastels, so to give it a sense of like the skin is irritated. I chose oils for these because I could get it to blend easier, and it looks really good. So like, I got some, oops, a lot of oil in there. So I got a little mineral spirits on this paper.